Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and it's week 6 in the NFL, and you can believe it already. It's time to find some early lines that we like that can give us a leg up on our competition to help us look ahead to the games and where we can find that value. Sam Hoppen, who joins us every single Monday here. It was a fun week last week. Lots of early value. Sam helped us find a lot of that. So it's great to see Sam. It's also great to see a new face here on the BP side of things. Derek Brown, D-Bro, the King of Bros, coming over with us to talk a little early line action, filling in for Pat Fitzmaurice this morning. D-Bro and I, Thursday Night Football, are going to be live on our Discord, by the way, too, talking about some in-game live betting for the Denver Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs. Can the Denver Broncos get out of their own way? Probably not, but it doesn't mean we can't make money off of it. And Sam Hoppen, speaking of making money, it's a really good week for us. Oh, the ladder bet of Devon Achane was a big money maker. You made the money. I made the money on it. I hope all of you listening to Friday's show and my mini monologue made the money off it. How did it feel to get it in the first half too, Sam? Because to me, that was the most exciting part. No sweat, just right for the jugular 70-yard run, and we made a lot of cash.
It was incredible. It was great to see him break off that long run. I mean, he's 5 yards from these safeties, and then 2 seconds later, he's 20 yards from them. I mean, his burst and speed is just absolutely incredible, being able to get around the corner like that. I mean, the market clearly mispriced those rushing lines. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they have it at this week. They have another potentially easy game this week, so could be a little bit higher than it was last week.
It could be, and it's rare that you get these, and which is why, we jump on them when we see them. And it happens a few times a year. It'll probably happen again at some point, but this was the first time that I've done this in the NFL season. I've talked about this on the MLB show we do on our MLB channel. We did it a couple times with some strikeout totals, and we crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. Kevin Gossman at 14 Ks one night. We did 6.5 all the way up to the 12.5. It was brilliant. D-Bro, again, it doesn't happen all the time, but there's certainly these opportunities that show up there. And this is such an explosive player where you have to take that into account. That being said, yesterday also some huge overs on a lot of individual players there, even with high expectations, like Jamar Chase had high expectations, still crushed it. David Montgomery, high expectations, still crushed it. So yesterday was a really interesting day in terms of offense. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you of all those performances that over-delivered that had high expectations?
I talked about it all week, Joey. I said it was the Jamar Chase nuclear game. I said it was the bounce back for him and Burrow, man. And I bet the overs for Chase. If people are following me on bettingpros.com/dbro, you already know, baby. We're talking about 60%. We're back in the W's this week. So I'm loving it, man. That and I also got the money lines for the Saints and the Jets at plus money. So it was a good week of betting, boys. Good week, and let's kick it over to week 6. I'm ready.
Let's do it. Let's start here. And remember at the top here, before we even get going, make sure you drop a comment below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Betting Pros, because you could win a signed Odell Beckham Jr. jersey. It's going to be vintage pretty soon because he doesn't see the field very often. So this is going to be a collector's item. This jersey might see more time in your living room or your den or your man cave or your lady cave than it does on the field, but still could be yours. Right now, all you have to do is drop a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and click that little bell for notifications till it goes ding. All right, let's kick things off here with Thursday Night Football. D-Bro and I will be live for this. And speaking of DFS too, as you mentioned, Derek and I on this podcast channel here at Betting Pros. It's audio only right now, but we do our DFS show every single Friday that drops. So make sure you check that out too. D-Bro and I are hosting that. D-Bro, when we're talking Discord here, Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, KC coming out with a big road victory, still trying to find themselves on offense. The total for this game is 51, Derek. We're looking at the number here, Kansas City, 10-point favorites over on PointsBet. And then if you like the Denver upset, which I do not, plus 425, you're getting a big number there. Look, the Chiefs haven't looked as dominant. Kelsey could be in for a short week miss of this game. That could also have a big impact on it. Do you think that this 10 might be too much under those circumstances that just laid out? Or do you think that the Denver Broncos are that hot of a mess?
I think they're a hot mess, but I think the points you just brought up here, Joe, is that If Kelsey's limited, this offense has not looked great. I don't want to touch the spread, but as far as what really intrigues me with this game is I want to hit the under on the total. Kansas City's defense has played extremely well. I think L'Jarius Sneed is probably going to shadow Cortland Sutton, take him out of this game because he's been doing in 3 of the 4 games. Probably did it last week versus Jefferson too. And the other part about this is that we need to bring up here is both of these teams have been surprisingly slow. Kansas City is 13th lowest in neutral pace. Denver is checking in at the 8th slowest pace. So however you want to talk about this game, whether it's Denver falling on its face, whether it's the slow pace, the biggest betting opportunity for this game for me is the under 51 that you can get at, looks like Unibet at minus 108 right now.
All right, Sam, how do you see this one shaking out here? Any early value on this Thursday night game, especially with some potential question marks of Travis Kelce?
I would totally agree. I mean, I don't see a reason why Kansas City would stretch it with Kelce, knowing how important he is to this offense, knowing they're playing a Broncos team that can easily be beaten. I think, you mentioned they haven't played up to their potential. I think in week 1, we saw the receivers struggle with drops and stuff, and we sort of expected that to turn around, but it just hasn't. None of them have really stepped up to be the guy. To Derek's point, Kansas City's defense ranks top 8 in most advanced metrics except rushing EPA per play. So I do think that Kansas City is going to come away with the win here, but they definitely... it's going to be, I think, a little bit more difficult to cover that 10.5 than
I agree.
People expect.
I tend to lean that way. You know what the best bet here is, boys? Isaiah Pacheco yardage over. I don't care what that number is.
You took it from me. I was just about to say that.
This is listen. This
as soon as it drops,
money in the
baby,
bank.
you're slamming the over.
Denver,
slamming the over.
No matter what it is, bet it. Even if it looks a little high on the surface, just bet it because Denver Broncos.
What do you think it's going to open at, Joey? Like I would say,
70
in most
and a half
matchups. See, and that's, I was going to say, I think in most matchups, you're looking at Pacheco opening in the high 50s or low 60s. Even if he opens with
let's
like
talk to the
69 rushing
Sam,
yards. Like,
you're the data genius. What would you open that number at Pacheco? Come on,
Sammy.
Yeah.
I'd probably set it mid 60s ish.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
66 and a half.
The Chiefs are still
like a
pretty
nice number.
pass heavy. They're second in pass rate over expectation. I think again they're not going to struggle to move the ball through the air. So it's just a matter of, do they get too far ahead where they're putting someone else in at running back?
All right, let's move on now to the Sunday games here. Starting again in England, Tennessee Titans are home in quotation marks and air quotes. 40.5 is the number for this one. You can get that over on FanDuel. Tennessee is 3.5 point underdogs in this one. Baltimore 3-point favorites. Again, coming off a bad loss to the Steelers where they just dropped everything. Sam, it was obnoxious the amount of drops by that wide receiver core. Plus 162 on the money line if you like Tennessee to win outright, which I think is in play. What's your take early on this one, Sam?
Let me just say, that Baltimore loss was so frustrating. It was one of my highest conviction plays.
I had one piece. It was the last piece of a parlay, 5 legs. All they had to do was win. I got 4 of the other 5 right. Would have won another $500 on that bad boy.
You can drop every single pass possible.
So frustrating. Anyway, my rage is real. Continue.
So speaking of the drops, the Ravens lost over 5 points of expected points on their drops. They just struggled with the turnovers. Obviously, the turnover in the end zone towards the end of regulation. That said, Baltimore, I think, has a top 4 defense. San Francisco's up there. I think Cleveland's is up there too. Dallas, despite what happened last night. But that defense is playing exceptionally well. They're getting a little healthier in the secondary as well. And Tennessee is just sort of middling at a lot of things. They're 30th in early down success rate, which is not what you want to see. So I'd take Baltimore with the points again, despite what happened this past week. And I think the under is also in play here because Tennessee is a very slow team. Baltimore, I think, gets slower and passes a little bit less this upcoming week after having a 2.7% pass rate over expectation. This past week, they were negative the 2 weeks before. So I think this is, again, it's going to be a similar kind of game to what we saw in Pittsburgh this past week. And again, the Tennessee Titans have given Baltimore fits the last couple of years too.
Yeah, see, also, I love the under. I love you talked about that too, because you've seen a lot of these London games hit the unders. Like the little sluggishness that comes out in the travel and all the chaos of some of these games that happen. I'm actually on the Tennessee side of the plus 162 just outright. I think that's where the value lies. And it's just the discipline of looking at saying, if it's so close, give me the best odds. And to me, that's how I make the most money. It's the same thing I said on Thursday Night Football, whereas I don't believe in the Washington Commanders. I said this on the live stream to Bogman. I was like, the best bet on this is just to bet the Chicago Bears outright and close your eyes and go to sleep and hope you wake up and they win. And you know what? They did. So I think at the end of the day, D-Bro, it's my lack of faith in either of these two teams just sends me to the value. Where does it send you?
Right to the money line for Tennessee, plus 162. Yeah, you give me plus odds on a money line bet. I'm probably going to be interested in that in this game. I'm with Sam on. I think it's a really good line, but if I'm going to hit the total, it's going to be the under. And yeah, the money line for Tennessee is what sticks out to me. And again, as soon as the prop market's open, you can also interest me in the overs for Zay Flowers. We've seen so many missteps and just miscues and just poor play out of the Tennessee secondary. The target volume was there last week. He didn't connect on deep shots. We've seen Zay Flowers ADOT go up. So I'll be betting the over for his receiving yardage props and taking the money line for Tennessee.
Yeah, he had a couple drops too. Not as bad as some other drops, but some drops nonetheless. Speaking of the Washington Commanders aforementioned, they are going to travel to Atlanta, where they will be underdogs. 2.5 is the number on DK. You're getting anywhere from 41.5 on DK to 42 on this game over on FanDuel. If you like Washington to win on the money line, is plus 118. D-Bro, this is a as Bogman calls him, Jekyll and Howell situation here, where Washington tends to play down to their competition. And that was part of my argument on Thursday night. It's like, look, when Washington starts beating teams they should beat, then I'll be impressed. I'm not impressed that they go and they showed up against the Eagles. I'll be more impressed when they handle their business against the Arizona Cardinals, which they did not really well. And then, of course, we know what happened last week. But here you go. They're traveling. They are underdogs in Atlanta. This is where the Commanders to me are interesting. Are they interesting to you?
A little bit. I feel like I'm kind of like being seduced by the plus money at the money line. I feel like it's a trap play, Joe. I feel like it's a trap.
Maybe.
So I'm going to sidestep the money line for them. The one interesting part here is as bad as the Washington defense has been, I don't want to sit here and invest in the Atlanta Falcons offense a ton, but the over for the total here does make some sense. Atlanta, there are pressure points where you can beat this defense. You can run on them some. You can beat them in the slot. You can beat them with tight ends. We know Washington is going to be throwing the ball a lot because they've done that pretty much in every single game. So a lot of these lines are pretty good. I'm staying away from the money line and the spread. You can interest me with the over for the 41.5 total here.
Sam, I want to pitch you a Hollywood script. Are you ready? The Hollywood script is Desmond Ridder gets benched in this game. Taylor Heineke comes in against the Washington Commanders and all hell breaks loose. What do you think about that?
If yesterday's game against Houston had gone a little differently, I think that's in play. But Desmond Ridder played by far his best game of his career on Sunday.
Eventually.
And
that's a low bar, Sam. That's a low bar.
It is a low bar, but I think it extended the quote-unquote grace period he gets probably with potentially being benched. It sounded like going into the game, there was no consideration at all of starting Heineke in the game against Houston. So this is a tough one for me, again, because you're probably buying the Falcons at their high, given what Ridder did this past week. But Washington, again, they played poorly in the first half this past week, but then almost mounted a comeback against, granted it's the Bears, but they did play much better in the second half. So I think there's a lot of ways in which this game could go. So your Hollywood script not out of the question, but
I'm just
I don't
pitching
think
it to
it'll
you. I
happen.
don't know if you want to buy it or not.
It
That's
feels
fair.
like one of those things that gets a pilot and then immediately gets canceled.
Hey, look,
So,
anything gets a deal on Netflix
saying.
nowadays. So I mean, why not this story? That's what I say.
Or you can end up on like Hulu or something like that. It's okay.
I love Hulu. My
like
take
Hulu
on
too.
this one too is I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna see if the Atlanta Falcons good narrative continues to grow. Because if that plus 118 starts to become plus 150 on Washington, I might jump on that, because this is exactly the kind of team that lulls you into these false senses of securities week to week, where you're like, oh, look, they almost beat the Eagles. Let's go. They're gonna beat the Bears. Oh wait, we lost to the Bears at home on a short week. Gross. Well, then we can't have any confidence in them against the Atlanta Falcons. Oh wait, they just went on the road and beat the Falcons. This reeks of that to me. It just absolutely reeks of it. Another game that I think is fascinating on this slate. Sam, I want to start with you on this one. The Cleveland Browns coming off a bye. They are 5-point home underdogs. That defense has been great. The number's 40.5. They're plus 188 on FanDuel. They're going to host the San Francisco 49ers, who looked like a juggernaut against the Dallas Cowboys. They sent them back to Dallas on their horses, hurting. I mean, absolutely embarrassed and hurting in that game. But we all know this, right? You know, sometimes these teams coming off these big games here that matter a lot, sometimes there's a bit of a letdown. Letdowns tend to happen when there's really good defenses. I know the Browns offense is struggle bus, but do you think the Browns defense can keep this game a little closer? Is this more interesting than people realize?
No, not at all.
Yes,
the only thing that Cleveland has going for them right now are those narratives. It's the letdown spot for the 49ers. It's them coming off of a bye. But San Francisco has done nothing but obliterate their opponents. They don't have a single game on offense below 0.1 EPA per play, which is an incredibly high mark on a per game basis. The Cleveland defense is good, but we also thought the Dallas defense was good, and look what San Francisco did to them. The San Francisco team has score differentials of 23, 7 versus the Rams, 18, 19, and 32. They are blowing out their opponents. The Cleveland offense is by far the weakest unit in this game. They've only had a positive EPA per play in their game against Tennessee when they exploited that pass funnel defense. And I go through each game before looking at the lines and make a line of my own. I had the 49ers as 7-point favorites for this game.
Thank you.
And they're, I think, about 4.5-point favorites on the line right now. So again, the narratives lean towards Cleveland, and this is a lower total game, but man, I don't see how this San Francisco team just hiccups right now. They're humming every aspect of the game.
It seems like you have an ally in Derek Brown in the same thought process. By the way, San Francisco right now in Betting Pros, the best odds you can get for them to win the NFC is plus 210 over at FanDuel. It's shrinking. It's at plus 140 over at DraftKings. This is why I use the Betting Pros app. It's why you download it. Because why would you want to bet plus 140 when you can get plus 210 right now? So, D-Bro, you seem to be on the same page as Sam.
I'm like, Joe is queuing this up to sit here and maybe be some kind of upset.
job
I'm
is
like,
to
I'm
set
not buying it.
My role here on the program is to set up interesting questions for you guys to debate, and maybe there was not that much debate on this one. That's fine.
I was like, Sam, don't get seduced
I'll tell
by
you
this.
what, next Monday I'm going to be
Don't.
absolutely relentless if the San Francisco 49ers don't do everything you said. I'm just saying. Just saying.
That's okay. You can sit here and tell it's a fact. It's fine. I get to sit here.
That's true.
I get to come in here and cause chaos, and then just.
So that being said, is it a cakewalk here with this number? Do you just lock this?
Yes,
do you lock this 4.5 in now at FanDuel?
You lock it in right now. Set it, forget it. I love what Sam brought up because that was the line in my head. I was like, this line is wrong. Absolutely wrong. San Francisco should be favored by 6.5 or 7. You need to be betting this now because I'm telling you that spread is going to move more. And this money line, I'm not betting the money line, but minus 210, San Francisco should be minus 300, minus 400. Like they should be a lock to beat this team. And I'm going to pile on top of the beating here. Give me the over for the total. And this is just simply San Francisco just putting it on the Browns. I want to see it. And I think it's going to happen, man. They're going to sit here and beat this spread. They're going to absolutely put it on this defense.
All right. This is why we do the early line show, folks. Go ahead, Sam.
The other thing I didn't mention is Deshaun Watson did miss their last game before the bye. Obviously, have had some time to recoup, but as of Monday morning, he was not at practice. So that is something to monitor. And if this is
if he doesn't play, forget it.
Now, did the team hold him out, or did he hold himself out? But either way, I love the point that Sam makes here, because as soon as that becomes a more generated narrative out on social media and things, this line is going to move quickly.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's continue. I'm betting it right now as you're talking. So, all right, let's move on to the New Orleans Saints.
Man sets it up, then bets it. Love it.
Well, I set it up for conversation.
I know. That's a professional setup.
It doesn't mean I believe in it. I want to hear what you know. But yet, have I not expressed the narrative that could be out there, which is a very strong
It was expressed extremely.
I also expressed a narrative last week about the New Orleans Saints. Andrew Erickson vehemently disagreed. I also won that argument because one of my favorite bets last week was to tease.
Erickson's also lining other people's pockets. I got a nice 20 spot coming to me last week.
But we also teased up when my favorite bets on the Betting Pros video I do every week, my top 10 bets of the week. Teasing up the number there, getting the 3.5, or even you get 4 in New Orleans, all the numbers, right? Just to get a better plus money on that. If you did that, you cruised, because the New Orleans Saints absolutely just obliterated the New England Patriots yesterday. They now are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Interesting spot here against the Houston Texans, who have also played very well, winning games. CJ Stroud, poised in the pocket, looking good. You're getting 40 at Sugar House, 41 over at Caesars. You're getting plus 118 for Houston to win at home. Now, Debro, you're a New Orleans guy. I know sometimes you're tough on your own team, as I am tough on my New England Patriots at times too. But here you go. This is a fascinating game where all of a sudden, both these teams kind of have good feelings coming into this contest of good momentum. Who comes out victorious here, and do you see any sort of early value on this line? Because it is pretty close.
Okay, so I would love to tell you that I want to bet Houston at plus money to win at home. The concern that I have with Houston is Tank Dell left with injury. Also, Robert Woods is banged up. This offense is going to be possibly at less than full strength. And New Orleans is a really good defense. They've played out of their mind. So the plus money for the Houston money line is a little bit alluring, but I feel like it's more of a trap play. I think that the most enticing thing for me here is to take the under on the total. This game is going to be slow. Both of these defenses have played pretty good to, if not, Houston has been underrated. So if you're going to tell me New Orleans defense has been playing out of their mind, Houston is operating at possibly less than full strength, it's a close line. I think that all the things are pointing me towards the under, and then I'm just kind of staying away from everything else here.
All right, Sam, how about you? This is a tight one here. Do you see any early value, or is this a stay away?
This is a stay away for me for now, but as we get more news on the health of Tank Dell, like Debro mentioned, I'm leaning more towards Houston. Again, I said the same thing last week, but it's the better quarterback getting the points here. The Saints defense has been impressive, but they faced the Titans, the Panthers, the Packers, the Bucs, and the Patriots, which is not really a murderer's row of offenses to face. And the Saints offense doesn't have a single game with a positive EPA per play in the game. So I'm going to continue to buy into the Houston Texans until the market treats them like what I think the average team that they are. I mean, they're not the bottom of the barrel team like everyone thought going into the season. They've played well above expectations, and I don't think the market has adjusted quite enough for that yet.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Oh boy, let's go. Carolina Panthers 0-5 taking on the juggernaut Miami Dolphin offense. They are 4-1. The number on this one is already 14. The other thing that I put with the New Orleans game was, again, one of my favorite bets of last week as well. Miami at the 12.5 against the Giants. Why? Because the Giants are terrible and Miami can't be stopped right now. I know Buffalo stopped them. It was more of a detour than a stop, okay? Miami, 48.5 right now is the total. 47.5 over on BetRivers, but 48.5 on FanDuel. Carolina Panthers for the upset. We're not even going to talk about plus 650. So it's just a matter of 14, Sam. Is it too big of a number? He takes a long pause and draws it.
I don't.
It's a really good number.
I think it's spot on. This is one where I don't have an early lean for. I think the number is right on. 14 points is a lot. I think Miami could cover it convincingly, but the Panthers offense came back a little bit towards the end of the Detroit game. Not that they were going to get close to winning the game, but they put the pressure on a little bit and made a couple offensive drives. So it's tough. Miami kept the Giants in the game from a spread perspective this past week. So I'm staying away. I think this game is just it's gonna be a blowout, but 14 points is a lot.
14 points is a lot. However, the Carolina Panthers' inability, Derek, to, like, the biggest deficit of the Panthers is what this year, right? Throwing the ball deep, expanding the offense,
everything.
Well, everything, but that's a big part of it, right? So if they do fall behind, my point of this number still being in play right now is because, well, I don't see them being able to catch up. That's the problem, like literally and figuratively catch up in this game. So I'm actually still comfortable with this, even though it's a huge number. Do you see that also being a problem for Carolina, where if they get behind, or should I say when they get behind, that they can't claw their way back into it because big plays is just not something this offense can do?
I would have said that more convincingly if I just didn't see the Dolphins show a little, like, allow the Giants to have a little bit of life. Now,
he did. Look, that pick six was a big thing. Like, that was another one. Like, you take that pick six and that mojo away from that moment.
No, that's fair.
That's the moment where that game is over in quarter two. All right, well, we got to make sure we come out of the half and assert our dominance again. Like, if you take that 7 away from the Giants and give it to the Dolphins there, it's game over in quarter two.
That's fair. I think where I sit with this game is, if you really believe that Miami truck sticks Carolina, then bet the over on the total. That's where I sit with it, because I don't want anything to do with the spread. I'm with you. I don't know if the Carolina Panthers have enough punch to counterpunch the Miami Dolphins, but what we've seen out of the Miami Dolphins, they can hang a 40 spot. They could carry this total over all by their lonesome this week. So as much as I question about how much Carolina can counterpunch, we saw the Giants be able to do that a little bit last week. If that door is at least swung open just a little bit, you're talking about the Panthers showed some life versus the Lions. That passing attack. Hell, the Miami Dolphins, their offense alone could put up 40 in this game. For me, the most enticing bet for this is to hit the over 47.5. And the rest of it, I want to stay away. There's obviously there's nothing for the money line, and I think the spread is spot on.
Don't forget, everybody,
Joe,
there's still... Oh, so go ahead. Go ahead, Sam.
To your point about Carolina crawling back, they allow the 5th highest pressure rate on Bryce Young. The Dolphins defense generates the 6th most pressure on defense. So if Carolina is forced to pass, it's not going to be pretty.
See, 14 doesn't look so bad now, does it, gentlemen? You know what else doesn't look bad is you winning some free stuff like a Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey, by the way. All you got to do is make picks at the NFL contest we've got running. bettingpros.com/NFL contest. That's what you got to do. Or if you have the BP app, which I know you do by now, you drop down that community tab and you join the NFL contest, because we're giving away the JSN jersey, weekly prizes, monthly prizes, upgrades to Fantasy Pros Premium, to Betting Pros Premium. Swag from our BP and FP shops can be yours for just picking games. You don't even have to have sports wagering legal in your state to join and have some fun and pick some games and see if you're right. So go join the NFL contest today. Again, bettingpros.com/NFL contest. Win free stuff for just picking games. This one's really interesting. D-Bro, on the DFS show on Friday here on BP, you mentioned about the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow restoration project. Well, now they're at home against the Seattle Seahawks, coming off their bye. 46 is this number on FanDuel, 46.5 on DK, so generally in that same spot. Plus 136 for Seattle on the money line. Right now, you're getting Seattle at +3, Cincinnati at -2.5. So do you see any early value on this one? Do you think the Bengals are just back now?
I think the Bengals are back. And I think that if you're looking at this spread, I don't think it's given them enough credence. I think that this is looking at the first few weeks of the Bengals offense. This is looking at the first few weeks of what we've seen out of the Bengals. This spread... they're only favored by 2.5. This spread should be more like 4.5, 5. I think that this is not giving them, especially at home, And what we've seen out of Seattle, their defense has been a pushover. Now we're talking about Joe Burrow looking more like Joe Burrow, and whether if we get news that T. Higgins comes back, also this is going to move in the favor of the Bengals. I don't have a lot of interest in the total or the money lines in this game, but for the spread, I think the Bengals cover this.
Sam, these lines feel about right to me, unless you really believe in the rebirth of the Bengals, in which case you jump on this 2.5 now and you roll with it. Is that where you are, Sam?
I'm a little bit more apprehensive. I struggle to say the Bengals are back after their performance against a bottom 5 defense in the Arizona Cardinals. The concern I have on
a bottom 5 defense too. Like, they can't pressure the quarterback.
Good point. They are pretty bad too, Sam.
Outside of Daniel Jones, they cannot pressure the quarterback. Bottom 3.
Back to your corner. Come out swinging legs.
I'm just saying.
Sam, what do you think about that too? Seattle also lines up in that same general vein though in terms of ranking.
But I think they have more defensive playmakers. They're coming off of the bye. The issue I have with Seattle is their left tackle Charles Cross missed Monday Night Football, and their left guard Damian Lewis was carted off. Their right guard Phil Haynes was left early with a calf injury. So that's what we call a cluster injury. And if that offensive line is missing some of its starters, then it's going to be a struggle no matter how good the Bengals offense is playing. So I think this is one I'm staying away from right now. I think it'll be a really great game, to be fair. So I don't know. It is really tough again for me to see the Bengals doing this again after the defense that they faced. I get it. I get
Trey
the Seahawks aren't that great, but
Trey Hendrickson returning to all of the the points you're making about the offensive line. You saw how different that the pass rush was for the Cincinnati Bengals when Hendrickson was back, and he was back yesterday, and he made a difference in that game without a doubt. Next game on the slate here: Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Again, Gardner Minshew playing in this one. They are 5-point underdogs on the road against Jacksonville. 45.5 is the number of FanDuel. 45 at Sugar House, plus 192 for the Colts. Can the Colts pull off this upset here, in your opinion? Because plus 192 is a really good number here, Sam. And the Colts keep winning games, and Jacksonville just kind of, barely escapes, I feel like, every single week when they do have wins, and then losses, they look like a team that's still kind of a really big work in progress. What are your thoughts on this one real quick?
This is another super interesting one because we have Jacksonville coming back from London after spending 2 straight weeks there. So they probably have adjusted to that time zone by now, and now we're going to have to reacclimate to, I guess, Eastern time zone as they come back. And that's something we just haven't seen before. And so that said, I do think this should be another opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to carve up the Colts defense. The Jaguars allow pressure at the 6th lowest rate, and Indianapolis gets pressure at the 7th lowest rate. So I'm taking the Jags here, but it is something that, again, it'll be fascinating to see how that potential, not layover in London, but extended layover in London impacts them. I will say I think this is another opportunity to bet the under on Jonathan Taylor rushing yards because the Jaguars' rushing defense has been phenomenal so far this year.
It is a 2-headed attack, though, with Zach Moss as well. D-Bro, the secondary here of the Jaguars, they give up some big plays here. We've seen that. We saw it in London on Sunday morning. We saw that. So in your opinion here, do you see any value on the Colts side of this game, or are you on the Jaguars' favorite side?
I could see this game going either way, to be honest, guys. I think that Jacksonville has shown us that they could be a letdown team. Indy has also shown that they have a lot of life on offense. So honestly, I'm staying away from the spread and the money lines in this game. Give me the over for the total in this game. And we've already seen this play out. They put up 52 combined points in week 1. This total right now, I think, should be more in the 46.5 range, 47-ish. Indy's operating at the fastest neutral pace in the NFL. Jacksonville can put up points versus this secondary. So however you want to spice up this matchup, I think the pace is going to be pretty good, if not very good in this game, if Jacksonville can keep up. And you're looking at an Indy offense that can push Jacksonville. So not only that, we've seen this run out before. And with Gardner Minshew now playing, I think they're going to be passing volume. So the most intriguing spot for this game is the over on the total, because I just feel like the line is wrong.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Battle of 1 and 4 teams. Minnesota Vikings head to Chicago. Minnesota 3-point favorites in this one. I'm sure, once upon a time when this number opened, it was a lot different. Now it's just 3. 46.5 FanDuel, 47 at Sugar House. If you like the Bears at home, it's plus 144. D-Bro, do you see any early value on this line?
Oh, help me. I'm going to take the money line for the Chicago Bears. I think that this is a game where we could see the Bears stack back-to-back wins. They are definitely feeling themselves coming off of that win versus the Commanders. Justin Fields looks like he is in his bag. Minnesota, again, we're talking about a team that, do they have Justin Jefferson? Their run game is not good. Chicago's defense might not be great, but they have been a very good run defense. So I think a lot of parts or pieces point to it's Chicago at home. I'm ready for a Vikings letdown. Give me the Bears money line plus money right now.
Well, Vikings letdown would be the end of the Vikings season here. Do you think that's what we're looking at, Sam?
End of the season. I mean, I sure hope not. This is a game I don't really have much of a read on. I really don't expect Justin Jefferson to play. Kevin O'Connell was pretty pessimistic about his hamstring injury following the game, and I think he's probably the second most important non-quarterback to a spread. So Vikings still have some playmakers on offense that could give the Bears defense some fits, but I can see this going a number of different ways.
To your point, Sam, if we get the Jefferson news and this total drops, that kind of leads me to wait later in the week. And I know we're talking about early line bets, but I could see easy scenarios where this total drops some, and then I'm more intrigued on the over.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
don't know.
Logic.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. Look, this is one where, again, if you like it and you want to jump on it real quick here, you can, but there's a lot here with the Justin Jefferson impact of this game. That's a guy that moves the needle. New England at Las Vegas. Gonna keep this one simple for you guys. All right, New England is 3-point underdogs on the road, as they should be, maybe even more. Las Vegas minus 2.5. I know it's Las Vegas. They're not great, but 43 is the number, plus 140 for the New England Patriots for the upset. No, thank you. I would tease this one right now with Vegas past the 3.5. Heck, I'll even go to 4.5 on this one. Sam, to me, the New England secondary has nothing. You cannot stop Devontae Adams with nothing as long as he is healthy enough to play. Again, I know that's questionable. We'll see how he comes out of tonight's game. But to me, this is easy. The Patriots are one of the worst teams in football. Their secondary has been obliterated. Matthew Judon is done. They have no offense. They have no pass rush. They have no secondary. Why is this number so small, Sam?
I'm sure it's the injury concerns, because for me, as long as Las Vegas comes out of the game tonight healthy, the minus 2.5 is a huge value. The Raiders offense is probably the best unit in this game. The Patriots defense, like you said, is getting torn apart with injuries. Their offense can't move the ball. It's confusing. Maybe it's the short week for the Raiders too is contributing to this not being higher, but I like Vegas in this game.
All right, so that's 2 for 2. D-Bro, you want to sweep this?
Yeah, I would take Vegas, and also I'm intrigued to take the over on the total here. And I know that sounds gross, and people could look at this total and say, okay, well, New England's not putting up any points. Why do you care about this? Okay, Vegas is not a good defense, and both of these teams are quietly top 10 in neutral pace. So you're looking at a matchup with two pretty bad defenses. A home game for Vegas. I could see them putting up points here and really good neutral pace. So the play volume, I think, could carry this over the total. So honestly, yeah, you can give me Vegas covering the spread, and I'm intrigued on taking the over for the 42.5 total.
All right, let's run through the next couple games here. Detroit at Tampa. Look, right now you're getting Tampa plus 3.5 home underdogs, which is intriguing. 45.5 is the number, plus 150 on the money line for Tampa. But D-Bro, with all the uncertainty with the health of everybody in the Lions, I just feel like this one's too early for me to get a beat on. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I'm staying away from the spread. If anything, I think the total is off on this one. We've seen Detroit still be able to put up points. You can run, you can pass on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have fielded a much better offense than I thought they would coming into the season. So again, maybe I'm just being positive here on a Monday morning, but give me the over for the total of 44. You can get over a DK right now, and past that, I'm moving on.
Sam, any value here? Like, if you like Tampa at home underdog situation coming off a bye, is this a trap game for the Lions?
No, again, not a trap game. You think all these road favorites are in these trap games? No, Detroit is going to come in, handle their business. They get pressure at a 39% rate despite blitzing at just a 21% rate.
You mean road favorites like the Ravens?
No, I mean road favorites like the 49ers.
Oh, the 49ers, that was just
teams
fun.
Are just gonna
no, I'm just having a good time with you there on that one.
I think they both go into these games and take care of business.
All right, let's see if Arizona and the Los Angeles Rams can handle their business. The Rams 5.5-point favorites. 47.5 is the total for this one. Plus 225 for Arizona. Sam, you saw Kupp, you saw Puka Nacua. This is a much easier assignment this week here in terms of defensive front. You don't have to deal with the Eagles. Can the Rams cover this 5.5?
I think so. Surprisingly, this was the Rams' worst passing game efficiency-wise this past week against Philadelphia. But I think another week with Cooper Kupp, that offense is going to be humming against a Cardinals defense that cannot generate any pressure, is 28th in passing EPA per play and 31st in pass success rate. I think the Rams, again, are going to take care of business here.
Actually, this number has moved to 6. I see it right here already. So the best number now is 6. D-Bro, are we jumping on this before it gets any bigger?
Yeah, jump on it now. Absolutely. I think the Rams cover this. And I say that, and I'm also willing to sit here and take the under on the total. The Rams defense has been surprisingly really good. And with the Cardinals, Zach Ertz is a shell of his former self. Now James Conner is down. Josh Dobbs looks like he might have turned back into a pumpkin. I think that the Rams could run away with this game and pull this to the under.
The Jets will host the Philadelphia Eagles, who are still undefeated, one of 2 undefeated teams. The Jets are 6.5-point underdogs at home on DK. 42.5 to 40 is the number, depending on where you look. The Jets plus 230 here. So, D-Bro, I mean, to me, this one's easy. Like, you can like the Jets defense all you want. I don't think they can keep pace with the Philadelphia Eagles on the offensive side. Your thoughts?
Jets, I mean, the Eagles cover. If this was the Eagles at home versus the Jets getting the home favoritism here a little bit, this spread should be wider than what it is. So I'll take the Eagles to cover it.
Sam, are you in the same mind too, where maybe the Jets are getting too much respect on their 2-3 record right now against this Eagles team?
I think so. I mean, the Eagles are still one of the better rushing teams. We saw Denver be able to have some success on the ground against the Jets this past week.
Pacheco did too,
I think
2 weeks ago.
Swift,
let's not forget that also. Yeah, good point.
I think they'll be able to move the ball easily.
This is a fascinating one now because it's a huge number, and also now the calculus has changed. The Buffalo Bills are 14.5-point home favorites against the New York Giants. Sure, the Giants are terrible, but interesting pieces here. Matt Milano, done for the year. Tre'Davious White done for the year. It's all some big pieces gone for this Buffalo defense. I know the offense has been dreadful here, but if Saquon should be back this week, is it interesting to jump on this line early here? 45 is the total, 46.5 at Sugar House, 45 at FanDuel. I'm not saying the Giants can win, but can they cover this, Sam?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what the status of Daniel Jones is at this point.
I doubt he plays.
This line,
I seriously doubt he plays.
Yeah, I doubt he does too. I think Tyrod Taylor might have gotten hurt at the end of the game too, or at least something happened to him. So I don't know. Saquon Barkley can be back. That doesn't move the needle at all for me. I think the Bills should. I'm much more confident in the Bills covering this 14 points than the Dolphins covering against the Panthers.
All right. So you see this one, the same thing where it's just like Buffalo in a romp despite the injuries, D-Bro?
I think the spread is spot on. I really want to kind of stay away from it, even though I think if you want to go attack it that way, then that's fine. I'm more intrigued by the 45 total that I'm looking at right now over on FanDuel. I would much rather just take the over for that. Assuming, and I say this with the assumption that Tyrod plays, I think the Giants can push back enough on this depleted Buffalo defense, and Josh Allen is going to have himself a day. So I think the Bills will carry this over the total.
The offense carries it over the total as opposed to the defensive things that are missing. All right, last one here. By the way, can we just get the Giants off my primetime screen, please? Can we stop this for the love of God? Dallas going to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Perks of living in Jersey, baby.
Seriously. No, it's the national game again. It's another Sunday night football game with the Jets or Giants. What are we... Oh, Dallas.
Joe, nobody's making you turn your TV on for the game.
Work does. This is what I do. I have to watch it. It pains me.
Watch the condensed version the next morning.
I know. That's the problem with Amazon games, too, is I can't DVR them. It drives me crazy on Thursday night. Anyway, Dallas Cowboys... licking their wounds, go to Los Angeles here to play the Chargers. Chargers coming off a bye. They're 2.5-point dogs at home. 48.5 is the number. Plus 116 for the Chargers to win outright. So it's real simple. D-Bro, does Dallas bounce back, or do the Chargers continue to pile on this Dallas team after they're reeling from that loss in San Fran?
Chargers at home, close spread, plus money. Let's go. Chargers roll, baby.
Say, really? I'm Chargers roll? I thought you were setting me up for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go. Sam.
No, Chargers roll. Dallas has looked like a shell of itself on offense. And I get that they're playing the 49ers, and this is not the 49ers defense. But also, the Chargers are going to put up some points against this Dallas defense. Right. Losing Trevon Diggs was huge.
It was. It has been huge for them.
Huge.
Sam, Chargers don't usually handle their business in these kind of situations. Your thoughts?
I'm on the opposite side. I think you are getting a chance to buy Dallas at their absolute low. They had by far their worst offensive output of the season. Last night, I think this is a perfect get-right spot for them against a defense that ranks bottom 8 in every possible efficiency metric. Seems like Justin Herbert will play. It sounded like he would have been able to play had they had a game this past week, but I do think it limits their playbook a little bit. It sounded like, if I remember correctly, he had like one non-shotgun snap after he hurt his hand. So I like Dallas -2 here. I think, again, the Chargers offense might still be struggling to figure out what they do without Mike Williams. So I like Dallas here. I think they can take care of business tonight.
You can get them at
next Monday night.
Yeah, -1.5 right now. I just see on BP too. This
wow.
just changed too. So Bet Rivers,
I have
you can
interest
get them.
on that.
So there you go. So a little bit of change on that. So again, this is why you stay up to date with the Betting Pros app. Derek Brown, thanks for joining us today. Pinch hitting. Don't forget to catch the DFS show with myself and Derek Brown every single Friday on our audio version of Betting Pros, wherever you get your podcast. And check us out on our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. It's free to join. Go hang out with us, talk betting, talk live betting on Thursday Night Football with us. Sam Hoppen, always great stuff from Sam. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For D-Bro and Sam, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.